Hi, happy Thursday. I'm just going to have a quick chat. I'm in the kids' dad's voiceover booth, which is completely soundproof. And it's a really safe space. It just feels amazing. I've always loved this, and he does all his work in here, and he does a lot of videos as well. And so he's got a nice light as well, which I've switched on, and I'm like, oh, this is good. I feel like I can speak in here without being overheard, which is a good thing. So I've been pondering this privacy thing a bit more, since I said that I found out that one of the school mums had found my videos. And I'm just like, I need the anonymity, if that's the right way to say it, So I've got to figure out a way to do that, or start another channel or something. And it's not through, sort of like denial or fear from myself either about my own truths. It's just having that witness that doesn't know you. And I was sort of acknowledging how these videos to me, since I started doing them, they're like confessionals. It's like a part of my own process that is like really helping to solidify and transmute my density, my pain and my trauma faster. Every time I do a video, I get reflections back in the 3D world as well. Some really strange shit happens sometimes, because of speaking things into existence, I think. But I just sort of noticed that the theme throughout all my videos has always just been more of like a confessional, and not in a way because I've never viewed myself as a bad soul or a bad person. And yeah, it's funny, I was sort of speaking about this earlier, and we were having a chat, and we were talking about how somebody's New Year's resolution was like to be a better person. And so the kid's dad said, don't you think you are a good person now? What is it that you want to improve on? What are you sort of, are you a bad person or whatever? And he just felt like he was being unproductive at work, and his perception of himself was that he needed to be a better person so he could be more productive at work. And I'm like, fucking hell, So it just becomes a bit more obvious to me that like the program and the perception that we're not good enough is just that. It's just an illusion. It's just a perception, which essentially we have locked onto ourselves, and that affects the way you perceive everything. And what the kind of awakening feels like to me, the inner work, is that I'm seeing these veils and these illusionary perceptions of myself through a million different lenses, and I'm shedding them. I'm going, that's not true, that's not true, that's bullshit, blah, blah, blah. And I'm stripping it all away to find myself there. It's not that I have to be anything different. In many cases, like it's to be less codependent, to be less entangled with other people's shit, from a macro to a micro level, and to, really focus on our own shit and grasp our own shit and acknowledge and understand our own shit. It's so fucking deep, this journey. I love it. But I need a place where I can talk freely without feeling like there might be some sort of, misrepresentation or a certain perception of me because of some of my words or lifestyle choices, or just the type of shit I'm talking about. So it was funny, I went to the dentist yesterday, and we were having a bit of a joke because he was like, like science man, and he said, what did you get for Christmas? And I was like, I got a pack of tarot cards, which I was super chuffed about. And the first thing he said was like, I'm a huge skeptic. And I was just like, oh yeah, like I used to be like that. And, I was gently sort of talking about it, and we had a bit of banter in the end, and that, that was quite nice. But the idea that, what we're all talking about is either bullshit, woo-woo, you know, sort of pseudo anything, pseudo-science, pseudo-spirituality, pseudo-whatever, is, you know, it's just an awkward side effect of, you know, being honest enough to speak through your soul, let your soul come out. So yeah, it's just blooming interesting, innit? We're all sort of, you know, we're so full of shame, and I'm speaking for myself here, shame and sort of distrust and unsupport for ourselves, you know. I am way less so these days, but I'm still, you know, I'm such a hard critic of myself. Anyway, so there's a few things that have been on my mind that I might try and talk about while I'm in here and I've got a bit of time. I feel quite safe, actually. I feel like it's like being in the womb. And when you shout, there's no echo at all in here. There's nothing. It's just sort of, it's you know, it's a wall, it's a barrier. So that's wonderful. So what the fuck am I going to talk about? Let me have a look. Yeah, just acknowledging that, you know, I need some privacy, because it's like, yeah, I'm big and brave enough to speak my truth and to whatever, but I can just go deeper knowing that people that are listening to me, you know, they've sort of found me through resonance and not through knowing of me, you know, in the flesh. So, blah, blah, blah. So I listened to Lucid Living TV last night, auset, and she was fucking amazing, and she always seems to speak a lot of what's on my mind at that time. So I'm going to link down to that video if anybody's not seen it. Yeah, super sort of pumped with the recognition of sort of primordial energies, you know, like just sort of the return to yourself and the whole sort of the levels of consciousness that we ascend, I guess, and descend depending on our current path. So yes, and yeah, I agree with, you know, so much. I completely resonate with her energy. It's just I'm still not at that point where I'm, you know, I'm like 100%. I'm not convinced yet that we are in a simulation. I've got my own sort of ponders about that. I've done a couple of videos about it before. I might round up some thoughts maybe, but, you know, where I'm at now, I'm not willing to have that as, you know, the first sort of explanation of things, although things have been trippy as fuck. Yesterday, I've had to turn this fucking light down. It's a bit annoying, actually. On the brightest setting, it was, you know how white I usually look when I'm looking through the window. It was whiter than that, so I've had to turn it down a bit, but it's still quite obtrusive. But I thought, hey, why not? Why fucking not? What am I even on about? Yeah, fuck knows. I was just noticing that for me, these videos, they're like, it's like a confessional. It is, and I'm throughout my journey, I'm acknowledging my own darkness, my own shadow, and some parts of these darker energies and edges and memories and feels that I've had to pour into, they crop up at different stages of the journey. You know, it's not sort of like, you sometimes think you're done, don't you? You know, like, I'm done with my shadow work, and then, you know, next week you'll be like, you know, deep in the throes of some stuff that does not make logical sense to most people, and so that's why it's difficult to comprehend and integrate and whatnot, and that's why we find each other, isn't it? But it's beautiful. We're finding ourselves and we're finding each other, and yeah, just wonderful. I've been quite excited recently because a few new people that have like commented on my stuff, and I've had a look back and they've got their own channels, and I'm just like, yeah, because that's what everybody should be doing, like speaking their story, telling their tales, speaking the souls, allowing the souls to speak freely, and yeah, we make it so difficult for ourselves. So anyway, what's been on my mind really is stuff like that. You know, if that's another, it fucking is as well. I don't watch the news, and I don't watch TV, and I don't read newspapers, and I'm not on Facebook, and I don't have news apps on my phone. So I'm a bit slow getting some news sometimes, but I've had all these alerts today about Harry and Meghan, and I'm just like, oh my God, does anyone really give a shit? Like, good on him. Good on him. And I was just saying, you know, she seems more sincere than most of the cardboard cutouts that are within that scope of family or whatever, but there's something insincere about her as well that I feel like maybe I'm being a jealous projector, I don't know, but something that I'm still just sort of like, again, who gives a shit? This is just my mind wondering, but... So, anyway, expectations. The expectations that we have on others. I really got to see that when I spent a long period of time on my own, and I could no longer blame anything else or anyone else's energies, and it was just like, you know, you are forced to sort of feel and see and relive your part in energy exchanges and milestones and tower moments and, you know, whatnot throughout your life. And once you go through that, you somehow escape the stupid game of duality that we're in down here. But words and labels muddle everything, and everything is so crazy at the moment. There's so many things I want to speak about as well, but I'm always just like, you know, if I'm going to get into it, I want to get into it, and that's why I kind of feel like there's a few things I need to do. But there's a load of things I want to talk about. Men v women being like the main one, and just how this is sort of manifesting in not just these sort of these social groups, you know, like MGTOW, men go their own way, and Me Too and all that. But how that sort of filters down to nearly everybody's relationships. And, you know, I just see a lot of, and I've been part of it as well, you know, the initial sore breakup and the instant projection of extreme polarity onto the other, you know. Suddenly everyone's a narcissist, suddenly everybody's a psychopath or whatever it is that we thought they, you know, the worst of the opposite sex could be. That's what, you know, your partner is at that moment of pain. And, you know, hands up, I've been there, and I've done a lot of soul searching, and a lot of things have been shown to me through different lenses at different times, which were not shown to me at you know, I was too deep within my own perception of yeah, it's really difficult to explain. I could only see my own part in creating things after I'd gone a certain way through acknowledging my own shit. So it's just kind of, I was listening to Brett Weinstein and Heather Hayen again, and I don't know if anyone knows them, they're quite easy to find. They're evolutionary biologists, they were professors from a university, and they got in some kind of hoo-ha and whatnot about this whole... Actually, I'm saying this in the same way that, you know, Jordan Peterson's shit went down. This is how I'm presuming. I don't actually know the story. But, you know, the fact that they're getting flack from, like, extreme liberists, 144, you know, like extreme leftists, when they're trying to explain that there are biological differences between sexes, man and woman are different, the brain scans even show the difference between a female's brain and a male's brain. And it's like Heather Hain explains that although, of course, there's crossovers in brain functions, you know, most women's brains look a certain way and most men's brains look a different way. You know, we are different, and there are two kinds, men and women, and, you know, if there's any sort of overlap, that is the third category. And it, you know, it's like we can be compassionate to anybody who's suffering in the third category, but the third category doesn't need to be opened out into 86 other genders or whatever bullshit that people are portraying now. It's just like, I don't understand why it's so hard that people don't understand, you know, that there is man and woman, and that is that. And the more we sort of blur boundaries and change laws and start trying to please everybody with no foresight, we end up in some crazy fake society where we're afraid to say boo to a goose, you know. So anyway, yeah, I was just thinking about just sort of the codependent humanity and me as a codependent, and, you know, what that means for me energetically, and finally being able to sort of own my own part in it all instead of just being the victim or the martyr, or, you know, these other archetypes that I've dwelled upon and within, you know, and held tight to me, you know. I'm always in the right, and, you know, at times I've been a real force, you know, a real provocateur in ways with people in relationships, making people, see things, face things or whatever. It's not always a pretty thing, and we do it to each other, and it's all just crazy games for us to learn from. But yeah, it's the same sort of thing with that. So the men v women, it's just the blaming of the opposite polarity. So Heather Hain and Brett Weinstein, I think it's Weinstein actually, they talk about really important things in my mind, or things that have helped me understand, different sort of perspectives, less spiritually based and woo-woo based or intuition based, and much more scientifically based within the biological sphere anyway. And so it's quite nice for me sometimes to sort of see that, you know, I guess in a way that not everything is sort of, you know, I never sort of had the mindset where everything is corrupt and everything mainstream is this, that and the other, but it's just so glaringly obvious, some things, you know, when you've peeled back a few layers. And so I guess along the way, you know, I've kind of had barriers up or thrown the baby out with the bathwater on certain things, certain topics that I used to look into, certain areas of interest that I sort of put on the side when I had this sort of feel like anything scientific or AI related or technological related, or even, you know, maths and, you know, it was just, for me, it was just too left-brained. I just couldn't get out of it. But what I'm seeing now is that we all just explain things in our own ways through our own essences, and, you know, we're only all ever trying to say the same story, and that's all that ever has been done, just repeated in an infinite number of incredible variables. So yeah, times are interesting. I think, yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that Brett Weinstein talks about. He's got this idea about game theory and how it's related to, you know, what's going on at the moment, and that we're choosing the wrong game theory through cowardice, because we are scared to be individual, and we're too driven by the collective, just too unable to speak up, and that people use stigma as the weapon. And So I want to listen to a little bit more of that, you know, because I'm kind of feeling into that from some other ways as well. Another interesting thing that he said, oh poo, battery's going, is that there's no such thing as patriarchy from an evolutionary biological sense, and that, you know, it just doesn't make sense that that's how things are, because men have no wish to suppress women, most men, which, you know, I think I agree with. I agree with that, and the same as most women have no desire to be toxic towards a man either, and, you know. But yeah, I was talking about from the sense that in what do you call it, sort of survival of the fittest, you know, like natural evolution, or yeah, it's sort of always been the women that have been in control, because they were the ones that reproduced, created the offspring, and that they were, you know, that the things are different, you know, at a biological level. And so it just makes me think that, again, the society and the walls and the boundaries and the rules that we play by and everything, everything is just illusionary. And that's what makes you sound like a nutter, innit? That's what we're trying to explain properly. I can't be asked to do this. I wanted to talk a little bit about this trans ideology and what they speak about in terms of gender ideology and what gender actually is, and that, you know, there's not 86 different genders. Like, genders are, you know, essentially sex roles played by one or other of the sexes, and it's just ways to express, and that it's a spectrum which we both slide across. But, you know, typically, female proclivities are like this and male proclivities are like that. And it's just really interesting. She's just like, you know, we really shouldn't be battling with each other. And we are, because of so many different perceptions that have been created. I guess as well to do with the sexualizing of women as well. And, you know, it's like, really, she was saying sort of like men are in competition with other men, and females are in competition with other females, and we are different, but we completely complement each other, you know, the opposite sexes. So let's not carry on with the sort of, I mean, I don't even know who I'm saying this to. Like, it just seems to be a collective thing that I see, you know, like breakups around me, and suddenly everybody's a fucking, you know, whatever. And for me, again, it's like a truth of a moment of pain, but it's something that you eventually perceive in a different way when you've sort of removed judgment and yeah, and you've let go of the denial, and you've been able to look inside. So anyway, I've got loads of fucking shit written down here. I feel like I'm on quite a downer now, which is annoying. I've got quite comfy, and I'm like, But I went for a job interview yesterday, and I thought to myself, it sounds like a pretty cool job, as shit jobs go, you know. The hours were small, and what I needed, I didn't want any more. Like, I want to be in my own zone and, you know, try and pull myself up financially with other means than 9 to 5 day job. But anyway, so I went for this interview yesterday, and I had a bit of a fucking falter on my own self-worth as well. And my mum was like, you're going to wear something smart, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, of course I will. Like, I've not really got anything smart, but, you know, I was going to go out and have a look for something a bit smarter. And she was like, and smart shoes? So I was like, yeah, I guess I should. So I picked the least offensive of her smart shoes, because all I've got is like battered old boots and Doc Martens and trainers and shit. And I put them on, and I was like, no, I'm not wearing this. This is just not me. So I went in I call them my leapfroggers, like 15-year-old Doc Martens in like an aubergine colour with scuffs and probably dog shit on the bottom. And I was smart up top, but I had my scruffy boots on, and I thought, fuck it. And I was supposed to hear back today from them, and as yet I've not, so I don't think I was successful. But it was for a job, it was for a photographer in a maternity ward, taking pictures of the newborns at the end of the bed on little beanbags, and I just thought that would be lovely. And, I'd just love to pour a bit of life, and congratulations, and, just gush on to people like, oh, well done you, and what an amazing, because I just love that. And so I thought that would be nice, but there were people at the interview who've been professional photographers before, and it was kind of like a sales job as well. It's like, although you should get minimum wage, it's sales based. How do you feel about that? And I was just honest. I was like, as long as I align with the product, which sounds like a nice thing to me, I'm trying to sell photo albums of your kids looking cute as fuck on the day they were born. I'm not trying to sell you, I don't know, something misguided, but in all honesty, the prices were quite high, and I was thinking to myself, would I have a problem, trying to, make people get these things? I was like, I don't know. So, who fucking knows? I've probably not got it anyway. My ears are bright red. And, yeah, I felt quite good this morning, and then it went downhill. But this is feeling nice. I think I might do my videos in here. But, yeah, let's all share our stories, get our shit out. I've been rambling for 26 minutes now. And I've been getting annoyed with myself thinking about what I'm going to talk about, what I'm going to fucking title it. It takes away from my flow and my ease, and although I'm doing it to myself, it makes me feel like there's more expected of me. So I felt like I might create a playlist or 2 playlists, and one be entitled Rant, where I'm a bit more ranty and, potentially in a different vibration sometimes, and then one called Ramble, where I'm just rambling shit, and then anything else worth listening to, maybe try and title it. So this will be Ramble 1. Fucking big ramble. I'm such a prick. I'm still stuck in so many loops. But I'm aware of them, and I am making good changes. And again, it's not loops of depression or hurt on others or anything like that. It's stupid fucking loops low self-worth, not trusting myself, not giving myself a chance for anything, not asking for what I need, not asking for help, not accepting support, not accepting compliments. I'm still quite guarded, and I'm fuck knows. I need to ponder things a bit more. Maybe I'll do another video tomorrow. I've got a big cup of really shit coffee, lukewarm. It's probably, and I'm not joking or trying to be clever, probably my 8th big cup of coffee today. My mum's just texted, have you heard about the job? It's like, no, have a fuck. Shouldn't have worn my fucking leapfrogger. She'll be like, I told you not to wear those shoes. You could have been anything. You're a special child. Oh, God, she's fucking funny, bless her. Still clinging on to that, trade, career, retirement, that being sort of the ideal goal. She was at it yesterday as well, about my dad, Oh, he could have done this. And I'm like, oh, God, just fucking focus on yourself. See what you could have been, what you can be. In a nice way, she's amazing, but bless her, she's not quite seen a few of her own loops. Right, I better get back out there and stop hiding in here. I'm hiding. And it's annoyed me today because usually I'm really present with the kids, and whenever I try and do a video, which I have tried to do today, I had so many thoughts rushing around, a bit like this, but, you know, just sort of worse, more hyper, just full-on verbal diarrhea. But my mind was active. I wanted to speak, you know, even if it is just a ramble about bullshit like this. It's part of my daily therapy and I need to do it. And so, yeah, so I do feel better. And I guess I'm a bit closer, again, to eventually sort of rounding up any one kind of feeling or sentence. Oh, my God. Right, I'm going to get off. Yeah. Thanks for the support to my soul friends and family. I really appreciate it. Sometimes you feel down for no reason, don't you? I've been quite good the last couple of days, and then, you know, I'm just sort of like, probably because it's late and I'm ready for bed. Oh, and I just don't get to sleep. I don't sleep well. I'm still sleep deprived. Get up too early. Anywho, right, I'm going to get off. That was irrelevant. Irrelevant ramble number 1. But then I think, stop being so self-deprecating. Maybe it's not irrelevant. It's not irrelevant to me because it's part of the process, like I was saying. But ramble 1, yeah. I don't even know what I spoke about, so that's a good reason why it's ramble number 1, isn't it? Happy Thursday, and I hope everybody's feeling alright. Right, battery's going now. Goodbye.